Hello, PS110. Because the weather has wreaked havoc once again with our schedule here at Northern Marianas College, I've decided to make a brief video explaining these forms of government that was going to be the conclusion of the introduction and the foundations of American government. And basically, this table is derived from Plato's Republic and from Aristotle in the Politics. They are famous ancient Greece philosophers, and they actually were the ones who invented the idea of democracy, the demos and kratia, which means the rule of the many, people power. And the 1 through 6 come from your textbook, which hopefully you have been able to acquire. American Government, Power and Purpose. This is the preferred book that I would like you to use. And basically what you need to remember are these 6 forms. These are the textbook forms. And I've made this table because this basically summarizes my political science education at the University of Houston. According to Plato and Aristotle, you can classify all governments back in the day, today, and forever. As long as governments exist, they are all of the form of the one, the few, and the many, or what the textbook calls autocracy, rule of the one, oligarchy, rule of the few, or democracy, rule of the many. And those are, again, the 6 that I would like you to focus on are the bolded terms. Aristotle and Plato, they called these forms monarchy, aristocracy, and they also called democracy what it is. And of these 3 forms, there are good forms and there are bad forms of these governments. Authoritarian governments are not necessarily bad. They are the preferred governments of most Asian countries. And originally, when the United States was founded, we can say that it was really an aristocracy. It was a republic at the beginning, as we'll see in the coming chapters. It has only been through time that we have become more democratic. Our country is governed by a constitution, and this is a good form of the rule of many, because as we'll see, we are descended from the English tradition, the tradition of Thomas Hobbes and John Locke, and constitutions limit the powers of government. Our foundation is limited government. There are things government must do, civil liberties, and there are things that government cannot do. Civil liberties, as we'll see, are protections against government, and then there are civil rights, which are things that government must do. There are also bad forms of these types of government, and they're basically some form of totalitarian rule, total control, which is the antithesis of what constitutional or limited government is. Totalitarian regimes tell you what to think. They tell you what you can do. They try to stifle information. Total control of the society exists in those types of government, such as in North Korea today, one of the last totalitarian regimes existing. And we've had other forms of tyranny or rule of the few, such as during the Cultural Revolution in China, or the first triumvirate at the end of the Roman Republic, and the mob rule that existed during the French Revolution. Again, we do not have those styles of government in the United States. We have constitutional government. Make sure your online class that you get a chance to check out the Dawn of Man video. It is well worth it. It really explains why government is necessary. We got to figure out some way to protect ourselves and our property. And hopefully now that explains the 3 basic forms of government: the one, the few, and the many. Be familiar with the 6 that come from the textbook: autocracy, oligarchy, democracy, constitutional or limited government, authoritarian, and the bad style of government, the totalitarian regime, which resulted in major wars in the 20th century and beyond.